Good morning, good morning, good morning. We are live. Oh my goodness, you guys. It is the third full week of January. And I'm saying that very trepidatiously because hasn't this month seemed long? I believe it might actually be the fourth. It is the fourth full week of January, and we are treating it as the third because we are going to be doing our special third week check in this month because I didn't want us to be spin right now. I am really not sure what is happening, and I'm trying to get us pinned. Margaret found us. Yay. Good morning, Margaret. Happy to have you on. Glad you're here. For those of you that are just finding us, okay, we are live, and I want to pin us to the group. Make sure that we are in the right spot so that everybody can find us. So give us a moment. Who else woke up this ice storm that hit last night? So they said it's only about a quarter inch, and we're very close to the line of freezing, non-freezing. So right now it's frozen, but they anticipate that by 10, 11 o'clock, we will be not freezing anymore. Of course, the sun has to do its part, and it's going to be raining all day. So we're going to see how that works out before I decide to go to work, because I do not like to drive in the icky weather. So let's get started with today. And today, what we are talking about is life coping skills. This was of interest to you. Actually, it was two parts. It was, and I don't have it in my notebook, but it was like, and I are a pretty high um, there's a lot of stuff talking about how my computer is struggling. Again, it might be an opportunity for a new computer. I haven't decided if that's what the choice is going to be. We had a extra router on the computer, and we thought, on the Wi-Fi, and we thought that was taking away the bandwidth. Apparently not, because it is not on anymore. And okay. So Sarah says we're supposed to get snow, and driving in snow is better than ice. Yeah, I don't like any of them. I am such a wimp, and my husband is such a sweetheart that when there is bad weather, he will take me places. And so we're both looking at each other this morning going, what is it going to be? I might just stay home. I might do that. So we'll see. We'll see how the weather changes for us. All right. So Sarah, I see you're watching as well. Let me get focused here and get us talking about our life coping skills today. Everybody needs them, right? Like we couldn't exist if we weren't figuring this out along the way. And along the way, each of us has probably figured out some stuff. And we have a pattern for how we handle life's stuff. What I notice is everybody gets super excited at the beginning of the year. We have all these plans, all the ways that we're going to have these new habits, new routines, all the stuff that the new year is going to bring. And then about this time, I believe that what happens is we just get this feeling of, oh my gosh, I took on too much. How's this ever going to happen? And we start to feel the pressure. We start to really feel that stress on us. And the classic result is overwhelm. Okay, so what I'm wondering, and one of the things that I wrote in the write up for this particular course, is we want to go from overwhelmed to the complete opposite spectrum of overjoyed. And so I was just really curious where you guys feel you are on the spectrum. Overwhelmed, like so overwhelmed you can't stand it right now, would be a 0. And overjoyed, you're like so happy. The world, everything in it is going exactly the way that you envisioned. Whenever we've done our dream exercises, you're like, all the things are happening right now. And that would be a 10. So wherever you are on that spectrum, go ahead and pop it in. I'm really curious to see. Let's see. Margaret's saying she's got to admit she's feeling pretty overwhelmed right now, and she's putting herself at about a 4. Yeah. Just like everything else that we do, there's this point at which you have to have awareness before you can do anything about what's going on in your life. So just being able to say, hey, life is out of control, and stepping back and looking at it with a real perspective on it will help you. Very good, very good. And it looks like Sarah's saying about a 5. Yeah, so a lot of the times overwhelm comes because it's out of our control, right? So what we want to do is look for ways that we can control our life. So if you don't know me yet, I am Coach Tina, and I know several of you have put #live already. But if you're watching and haven't done that yet, let us know you're here by putting #live. Or later, if you're watching the replay, please go ahead and let us know. Put some comments in so that we can interact with you and know what is going on in your world. Okay, perfect. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to focus on 3 key things today about our life coping skills. And, we're not going to focus on the things that everybody kind of knows is the best way to go. When we get overwhelmed, we need to slow things down. We need to reassess what is happening, and we need to have a time of renewal. All it means when you're overwhelmed is it's a signal to your body that you have taken on too much. And it's just this reality where you're like, okay, I'm going to pause. I'm going to do some breathing, because breathing is an excellent way to calm down the system. And it's funny because some of you know that my son was working on what's called a postural alignment specialist certification, and he received it not too long ago, and he gave me a list of exercises that I can do to support. A lot of it's my hips, and one of the exercises has me contorting on the floor, and it's really hard. I have to do it for a minute, and even though a minute doesn't sound like very long, I'm just like, oh my gosh. And it reminds me of when I was younger. I hated exercise, kind of like today, but we won't go there. But I mean, like, I couldn't do certain aerobic exercises. I would give up. It was like unable to do things. And I noticed as I've gotten older, when I incorporate the breath into the exercises, it's easier to do them. And I didn't know that when I was young. So this is an example of anytime in life we grow into new understanding. And what I learned with the breathing is, even though that minute is excruciating and my legs are shaking and I'm like, that deep breath calms me down, because there's a moment, probably about 30 seconds, where I'm like, no, I'm going to stop early. I'm not going to be able to do this. I can't. But if I keep the breathing, if I just focus on the breathing, things change. So one of the ways to renew is to bring in that new breath and recirculate, get out of that thinking. And a lot of times with our breath work, the focus on the breathing takes the other stuff and kind of pushes it away so that we can rejuvenate. So I see I got a lot of comments coming in here, so let me check what's happening. Yes, so breathing is definitely the dealio. I love it. Okay. And Sarah is saying that she's gotten more organized. Things are better, but her Christmas tree and stuff are still up. So is there anything wrong with that, Sarah? I'm on the side of the fence that says it takes a while to put your Christmas decorations up, and they're so beautiful. So it took me a while because of the move to find my Christmas decorations, and when I finally did, it was like 2 or 3 nights before Christmas. And so I decided, I always do, that I'm keeping them up all of January. Now, I meant to put them away this weekend, but we did other things and the tree is still so beautiful. And I kind of started gathering everything and putting it under the tree so that when I bring the bins down, I will be able to just put it all away in one easy swoop. But I still have next weekend, and that's probably when I'll get it done. We're going out of town, so I don't want it to be still up when we get home, although maybe it will be. So it's a reassessment of what's important that you need to look at. And so whether you choose breath, whether you choose meditation, what you want to do is get refocused and center on what really matters. I did a exercise many, many years ago, but I was in this place where life just was crazy, right? And what I ended up doing was deciding what would happen if I only had 6 months to live. And I took on this mindset for a while, this perspective of I had been diagnosed and I only had 6 months left to live. And I made every decision from that point forward based on what if that was true? What if I really only had 6 months left to live? What would I be doing in my life? And I'll tell you what, it was a wake-up call. It was so friggin' interesting to me to see what my choices were when I had that patterning going. And the reality is I didn't have that, thank goodness. And I know I was making a head game. And, if anybody's watching that's been through something like that, I don't want to downgrade the experience at all, for sure. But what ended up happening for me was so eye-opening because I made choices that mattered. I got a huge perspective, and it was really interesting to me the choices I did make. Like, one of the things that was really important to me was I had a project where we were going to paint one of the walls. It was going to be like an accent wall on the back of the living room. And when I was running through I only have 6 months left, I thought, am I going to paint the wall? And I did. I made a conscious choice. I was like, you know what? It's going to make me happy to have it be this bright, beautiful color. And I want that experience. I want, even if I'm gone, that to be a lasting memory for my kids, that there's cheer and hope. And I just got to tell you, it was a reopening for me. So while that's an exercise that you can do and see how your perspective would be. Okay. And Margaret's saying Matthew McConaughey had her doing that. That's interesting. I haven't seen that. So maybe he got it from me, because this was probably 10, 15 years ago. I'm kidding. But it really does give you a great perspective on things. So, but one thing you can ask yourself when you're in complete overwhelm, whether it's in that minute or in that week or in that month, is you can say to yourself, if I only can do one thing right now, what is it going to be? And then like, I will make a list. So if I'm on my year one, like, what's the most important thing? If I only had to do that, what would that be? And then what would the next thing be that I would get done? And what would the next thing be? And that helps you really set those priorities. But you got to be really serious about it. You got to be like, the only thing, the most important thing. And what's interesting is when you put those things into that perspective, like Margaret's saying they had to write eulogies. Yeah, those are great exercises for getting into the mindset of what is really important, what matters. But when you do this, you're going to start to realize that those to-dos on your list, they're just getting shit done. They're not the true nature of what's important to you. And I think that's where the conflict with the overwhelm comes in, where we start to recognize where we're like, I want this in my life. And this is usually a feeling. It's an emotion. It's an experience that we're looking for. And we've aligned certain tasks that will equal that, but it's not really the thing. And so It's kind of like the why exercise, the 7 layers. As you get deeper into, why am I doing this? Why have I made these things my priorities? Then you'll start to rebalance and see what it is that you can do differently. And that takes us to our second key of what we want to do, and that's empowerment. I mean, that's what community is about, right? Like, take you where you are and remind you that you're powerful, that you have everything you need within you, and then support that, because the rest of the world is telling us that all the limits, they're putting shiny objects in front of us and telling us that we can't have them without a struggle. They're putting price tags on things that we think we want, but that we don't really need, right? And so the empowerment is where we take reality into account. And we might have these expectations about what we're supposed to get done, but we have to layer it with reality. And whether that reality is there's too much on our plate, or the things aren't important, or the effort required to get what we say we want is more than we thought. And we just have to look at it in a realistic way. Say, okay, I had these expectations. These are all the things that I thought life should be like. But here's the effort that I have to go through to actually see that happen. You know, we can have our dreams, we can have our visions, but we have to take action on them in order to make them come reality. Tony Robbins likes to say, and I'm going to start saying my friend Tony likes to say, when you are making a decision about something, when you see that you need to make a change in your life, it doesn't count until you schedule the action. Like, you need to take the action. That really is what makes it a reality. But don't let it just be like, oh yeah, I need to do that. Someday I'll do that thing. No, it's when am I going to do it? Writing it down, getting it in the books as what you're going to do next. And I think it's important for us to remember that, like, when God, when you're praying for something, when you want something so bad, right? And you're not seeing it come to fruition, remember, he doesn't give us like the tree. That's not how God works. He doesn't give you a fully developed anything. He gives you a seed, and you have to nurture it. You have to take care of it. You have to help it grow into what it's meant to be. And that's true of us too. We are the seeds, right? So when you have an idea, when you have a vision, when you have a plan, that's the seed. Now you got to nurture it. Now you got to take it to that next level. Okay. So Margaret is saying, well, she's giving me a smiley face, and I'm putting that up there. And that's good, because it goes to the next point, the key point. Let me say one more thing about empowered before I move on. And that is your story, how important the story you're telling yourself is. Okay. So this is where we're going to get some extra power. If the story you're telling yourself is about overwhelm, is about stress, is about how you aren't getting your stuff done, that is not a very empowering story. But if instead you switch that story, this is why we do those visualizations and the meditations, and we take on the emotions of what we want in the future. When we have a compelling future, we are drawn to that. We make choices based on that. And that builds into the story about who it is we are becoming. And that's why when those that started the Champions Voyage, and those that are working on their goals, and how we're moving everything forward, is we're looking at a point in time. And I asked everybody to decide a year from now, what is your life going to be like? And we started back in September in anticipation of my 3-day event that's going to be in September of this year. And what I want everybody to start thinking about is, what's your story going to be in September? So kind of like our eulogy that Margaret was talking about, we are going to be looking at who am I in September of 2024? What seeds am I planting right now that I'm going to take action on? I'm going to nurture, I'm going to nourish, I'm going to develop and allow to develop and grow into what I'm meant to be, what I'm feeling led to be at this point in my life. That, I think, is going to give us all the steps that we need to take to be. And I want to be coaching the you that you're going to be in September. Like, we've got to visit that, who you are, what your plan is, and make that the reality. And share our success stories in the 3-day event, because that's really my vision at this point. Yes, Margaret, I love it. And, this is one of my favorite books, is The Seeds of Greatness. And it's so true. It's so true. It's just really where I live, is in this concept of growth and development in who we're meant to be. So we're going to go with the third one. And this is one of the key coping skills of life, right? And that is to choose to be joyful. Joyful living, seeing the bright side of everything. Life is happening for you, not to you, in every situation. And I know there are hard situations out there, but seeing the best of it, choosing to see the best of it, to see the gratitude that you can have in all the parts. This is why I love to do the priming exercise with Tony. So it's 15 minutes a day, and it takes you through what are the memories that are most dear to you, where you were proud of yourself, because that gives you that feeling inside of, I can do what I'm meant to do in life. And then you look at what you're grateful for. And then you look at the actions that you are going to celebrate achieving. And what it does is, this 15-minute practice just elevates you and elevates you and elevates you. And it makes you feel like you can do anything. And it capitalizes on the joy from your past and the joy of your future. And you bring them together, and it makes you feel like anything is possible. So one of the skills that I want you to think about and incorporate into your life is something I just heard recently about. We're the hardest that anybody will be on us, right? We've got those negative tapes running in our head that tell us we can't, or we won't, or give up. But instead, when you notice, because you've got to be aware of it, just like we started at the beginning, whenever you notice a negative, you need to take 6 positive statements against it. And whatever that's going to look like to you, it could be journaling. It could be you, before any of this happens, you record in your phone maybe your positive self messages that you want to give yourself. And when you notice that you're in a down mood, play the tape. Hear yourself saying those positive messages. Get excited. We've already talked about dancing, shifting our state. All of those will be ways that we can shift into joy. But really be conscientious about the negative programming in us, and bump yourself into, no, I'm not going to choose that. Do Mel Robbins 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and bump yourself into, what are the positive messages that are going to make a difference in my life right now? And, go on a rant, get in your car, be by yourself, go in your closet, whatever it takes, and just say really good things about yourself. Speak truth over yourself. It would be very, very beneficial, and it's going to lead you into the life. Yeah, I love the way Margaret has said this, and she's right. Put the thing down, flip it, and reverse it. Yes, doesn't belong to you. When you hear those things, it is not what we're meant for. Love it, love it, love it. All right. So if you would like more programming on topics like this about life coping skills to change your life, go ahead and put the hashtag joy, and we will make sure that you are getting more links to information like this. I do want to point out that today I am observing as the 3rd week check-in, because we had that first week of January with our 7-day challenge. So 3rd week is today. We're going to be putting the link in the comments for you to join this StreamYard, and you can come in and share how things are going for the 3rd week. And then I also want to remind you all that we are doing a How's Your Progress Going workshop on January 27th. So this will be a big look at your year-long goals. So know that this is when we can catch up, because I've heard several people saying that they have issues with their some of their goals. That it's just the nature of what's going on in our world. Is a lot of things are starting to stack and feel uncomfortable, and we're not sure, did we get it right? So we'll take that breathing time and we'll make sure everybody is as caught up as they need to be. And I'm seeing lots of joy in the chat. So thank you for putting your joy in here. And Margaret's recommending a song, so I'm going to go listen to that. That was the lyrics to a song that she was listening to. That's awesome, Margaret. Thank you for sharing that. And other than that, we are going to end our life coping skills video today and go into our third week check-in. So those of you that want to be a part of the third week check-in, we're going to make sure that you get that invite in the comments right now. Okay. So go ahead and come on in for the third week check-in. I will try to, I'm not seeing it in the comments. And so let me slip over into Facebook and see if I can't add it in there. All right, the link is in there. And if you want to join for that, you will not be on screen, so you don't need to worry about that. I'm actually going to stop the recording, but know that you can come in for the third week. If I'll be on for about 20 minutes. So come on in.